Hi, good morning and welcome to Cooking Uncovered. Today I'm going to be doing this phenomenal carrot cake recipe. And I'm doing this for Halloween, the orange carrots, Halloween, maybe a few sprinkles on top, and I'll show you how to do that after. Of course, I'll show you how to ice it after I bake the cake. So this cake is a little bit different. One, I'm reducing the sugar. So there's only 1 cup of sugar in this cake. Secondly, I'm using almond milk, not dairy milk, but almond milk. And into the almond milk, I am hydrating 1 tablespoon of chia seeds. Now, what do chia seeds have to do with cake? Well, first of all, it is said, I've researched, that chia seeds are full of omega-3s and omega-6s and a great source of dietary fiber and calcium, not to mention the fact that they make things taste really, really good. And they're actually a very good binder as well. So I've hydrated 1 tablespoon of chia seeds into my almond milk. Now I'm going to make the almond milk sour by adding 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, because I need sour milk. Now, of course, if you want to use dairy, go ahead. You can just use plain old milk. But I've decided that I want to sort of cut back on my dairy, so I am going to use almond milk instead. All right, so let's get started. In my mixer here, and you can do this by hand very easily, I've got 3 large eggs, 4 eggs if they're small eggs. To that, I've added only 1 cup of sugar. All right, so that's been working away. To that, I'm going to add my 1 cup of almond milk with my chia seeds. And again, I did put my chia seeds in half an hour ago. 15 minutes ago, so they could hydrate. And to that, I want to add just half a cup of oil. Now, half a cup of olive oil is not a lot of oil, and I noticed that a lot of the cakes out there on the web, there's a lot more oil, so this is perfect. So half a cup will do it. So we're just going to mix that up ever so slightly. All right, in my bowl, I want to sift together my flour. So I have here my flour bin, so 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of flour. To that, I want to add 3 teaspoons of cinnamon. 1, 2, cinnamon tastes amazing in this. And 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. Good old nutmeg. Love it. All right, to that, we're going to add our baking soda. And we have 2 teaspoons of baking soda. 1, 2. So we're going to sift all this together. And our salt. Salt is somewhere. Here it is. And I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of salt. Half a teaspoon of salt. All right, so we're going to sift that all together. So that is the flour, the cinnamon, nutmeg, baking soda, salt, all in this. Notice there are some lumps here of the cinnamon and the baking powder. If you can't get rid of them, then don't use them. Get it over to the sink. Don't worry so much about that. All right, so my flour is ready to go. Also, I have grated up 2 cups of carrots. And I have here half a cup of pineapple, drained pineapple, crushed pineapple, and that's going to be perfect. So this is all mixed up and ready to go. All my wet, so now I'm going to add my dry to my wet. So my flour and my spices and my baking soda to my sour milk concoction. Just mix that ever so slightly. Move all this back. All right, so that's mixed enough. You don't want to overmix your cake, of course. So take that off and just mix it up a little bit more to make sure all the dry ingredients is mixed in off the bowl, off the sides of the bowl. So this is what it looks like. It's amazing, huh? This is honestly so tasty. You will be so amazed. All right, to this, I want to add my 2 cups of carrots, loosely packed, just loosely packed, not a lot. So 2 big carrots. There we go. 2 cups of carrots, half a cup of pineapple. Now you're going to mix that in so that all of the carrot and the pineapple are coated with the batter. But you don't want to whip it. You just want to fold it in to make sure you separate all those little strands of carrots, and that's perfect. Now I have 1 springform pan which I have sprayed. I'm going to take my parchment sheet, put it on the bottom, and then spray again. Spray the parchment sheet so it sticks to the pan. Now, if I'm doing this in one pan like I am now, this will take about 45 minutes to bake at 350 degrees. If you want to do it in 3 smaller pans to make a 3-layer cake, go right ahead, and of course you would reduce your baking time. It's about 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes if you're using a smaller cake pan. But I like the results of this. So I'm going to pop this beautiful carrot chia almond cake into the oven at 350 and wait for it to bake. And once it's baked and it comes out of the oven and it's cold, I'll show you how to ice it with a beautiful cinnamon cream cheese icing. All right? All right, so now the cake is cooled. My carrot cake is cooled, and now I'm working on the cream cheese icing. And this is going to be a cinnamon cream cheese icing. So I'm using about 16 ounces of cream cheese, or 2 blocks. I'm using half a cup of butter. I like to use real butter because the no salted butter, because it just works so much better. So that goes into my mixer, and I've been mixing it until it gets light and fluffy. It definitely has to be light and fluffy with no lumps. That's the key. So I've got it to that stage now. And what I'm doing here is I'm sifting my icing sugar. So I need 4 cups, maybe 4.5 cups of icing sugar. But you do like to sift it first because it does get rid of all the lumps. And don't worry about the lumps if they don't go through the sieve. Either push them through the sieve or just throw them in the garbage. It's not a big deal. So just take your measuring cup and get those lumps through, and that's perfect. So that's 4 cups. So in this bowl, I already have my cinnamon in there. I've got my cream cheese, I've got my butter, and I've got 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And that should work very well. So I'm going to start out with about half of it and just slowly mix it up. Of course, you've got to be careful that the whole thing doesn't blow all over the kitchen. Now, meanwhile, I have my carrot cake, and this is this beautiful carrot cake that I've made with a little bit of a twist. And I've added, there's less sugar than normal cakes, and I've added almond milk and chia seeds, and it's going to be wonderful. And I cut it in half. This is one cake. It was in a spring form, so I cut it like this in half, and then you take the top layer off. All right, look at how lovely that is. All right, so I'm going to ice the center first, and then we're going to get on with the top of the cake, icing the top. So the rest of my icing goes in now, carefully. So put all your icing in. That's perfect. Again, careful when you turn this on so it doesn't blow all over the place. So once it's nice and creamy and mixed in, then your icing is ready to go. This is going to be just delicious. This is what your icing looks like in the bowl. Now, you could, what I found is I used only 8 ounces of icing, and it just wasn't enough for this big of a cake. Now, I chose to make my cake in 1 springform pan, and I'm going to divide it, then I'm going to ice it. But you could easily make this cake in 3 smaller, like 3 9-inch round pans, and then you've got 3 smaller cakes to put together, which would work very well. Now, the trick here is to have with you a glass of warm water, and that helps your spatula. So keep your spatula wet. I'm going to spread out my icing, and you want the icing to ooze over the sides because that's going to look it's going to give it a really neat effect when I do this. So you definitely want lots of icing on this cake. So I'm going to spread it out to the sides so that when I put the top layer on, it oozes up the side. I guess this would be a great cake for Halloween as well. You could decorate the top with some little orange sugar or something, which would make it look really good. All right, so on goes your top layer. Now you see the way that the icing just kind of oozes out, so I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to ice the top, and that will be wonderful. So on the icing goes. And again, you can wet your spatula. Some people like more icing than not. Wet your spatula and just push your icing out to the edges. This works very well. You'll notice that a wet spatula works very well for icing a cake. And I've got it on a cake plate, which makes it very easy to turn. And I'm not going to fuss with this that much because I think the way that it looks with the icing oozing over the edge is just perfect. And then for the top, if you have something that's some orange sprinkles, if it's Halloween or red for Christmas, you can just open that up and give your cake a little finishing touch on the top. I guess one should have all these at the ready, shouldn't they? So if I cut the cake, this is what it's going to look like inside when you serve it to your guests. Like, it's so delicious. Look at that beautiful cake. Isn't that gorgeous? That's exactly what it's going to look like. So that's our special carrot cake with chia seeds and almond milk. I mean, it is delicious. Less sugar, lots of icing, but it's delicious. So thank you for joining me on Cooking Uncovered. I love the cinnamon icing. Thanks for watching.